What's up, YouTube? Today we'll talk about a very important concept, investing in narratives. I tend to believe this tends to get a little bit overlooked in the market, and I will explain to you why I believe investing in potential narratives could be actually a very smart thing to do. But before I go into the video, please feel free to give it a like. I would appreciate that quite a lot. I put a lot of effort in this video, so I think a like is more than fair. Today's video will be a little bit short than normal, but I still believe it will present a lot of value if you are trying to invest in soccer or understanding the soccer card market. But even saying this, I believe the investing in potential narratives is something that you can actually apply to across the board. Okay, that being said, let me do my own disclaimer. So, no financial advice, prices or pop can eventually be wrong at the time you see this video. Do not feel proud if you made money in this last bull run. Everyone made, let's be real. No one can predict the market, especially short term. Fundamentals are your best friend in the long run. I don't believe timing the market, I believe timing the market as long as you spend that time well, okay? This channel is about soccer cards, but a lot of my views can be applied to other markets. Keep in mind that I'm a collector first and an investor second. I look first at value instead of price. I share on the description two links, my Patreon and the eBay affiliate link. Any of those help the channel, so thank you so much for that. English is not my main language, any types of mispronunciations, I'm sorry. So, narratives are a key in the soccer card market and in the sports card world in general. My example will be about soccer, but as I said, you can apply this to your own market. If you collect NFL, if you collect NBA cards, this principle, this type of logic will still apply on those markets, or even Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. But let's focus in soccer. As you guys know, those three rookies are very popular for Lionel Messi, but I tend to believe, and you guys at this point know, this is the most desirable one. And why is this the most desirable one? Well, I think there is a lot of arguments that you can make for a card like this. There is a lot of narratives you can construct for a card like this. For example, this being from Panini, which tends to be very important. This being a very early release for Lionel Messi, actually early than this one. A lot of people don't even know this. This is actually being a more premium set than the other sets that this particular rookie is actually going against, I would say. And apart from that, the Mega Cracks brand, the Panini, in this case a subset brand for is Mega Cracks, but the Panini being a super strong brand, etc. So there is a lot of narratives that put this card over the top. Apart from this, the gem rate for this card is very low. Again, I could make, I would say, 10, 20 arguments for this one to be the most expensive card. Apart from that, I tend to believe most of you guys would agree in terms of eye appealing is one of the best, and that's actually automatically put some type of premium in a card like this. But not only that. So again, let's short this type of concept. So all the fundamentals are on that card. Condition rarity, potentially some type of true rarity, lineage amazing, history on the card amazing, eye appealing, I tend to believe most of you guys would agree is a very beautiful card. So there is a lot of fundamentals on this card, and so it's very easy to create a strong narrative for this card, why this card should be the holy grail for Lionel Messi. But for example, when you look at Mundi Crom, Lionel Messi rookie, and for a long time, by the way, this was by far the cheapest rookie in the market for Lionel Messi, and at that point I actually was putting my narrative out in the market, or I would say, I was not even making videos, but I would say I was actually believing on my own narrative, and I will share my narrative about this card. Look, this is one of the first, actually the first Lionel Messi rookie ever, because Mundi Crom in Spain, the release was a little bit early than Panini or Este. So this is actually the first card, as we are aware, I would say, for Lionel Messi. And that for me automatic puts some type of premium, some types of relevance on a card like this. But for a long time the market was not seeing that. Apart from this set is for the entire league, and Mundi Crom is, or was, I would say, a very respectable brand in Spain at the time. Actually, more people end up collecting Mundi Crom than collecting Panini. Again, this is things that I believe, okay, I believe should have some relevance for a card like this, but for a long time the market was not seeing that. What I did, look, I did what any smart value investor would do. I actually bought a lot of those cards. When I say a lot, is relative. Okay, I did not bought 100 of those. I bought, I would say, 10 or something like that. So I bought, I would say, a very decent amount of those rookies, because I was buying those rookies at $100, $200, $300 in an amazing condition. I'm talking raw, of course. So I was investing very heavily on a card like this. That's why at this point I own a lot of those, and I still believe they are undervalued, so I'm not selling, okay? But that being said, for a long time the market ended up not seeing what I was seeing. So my narrative, my potentially narrative, ended up being correct. The reason is, you guys know, at this point a PSA 10 or even a PSA 9 sells for quite a big amount of money, and even finding these cards raw is not that easy anymore. The market ended up exploding, so my narrative ended up getting a little bit lucky, because you can say with the explosion of the market, doesn't matter a lot of the narratives, everything will eventually go up as long as it presents some type of value. But apart from this, I remember, for example, Gold in auction selling this card, a PSA 10 for, I believe, 50k or something like that, but a very expensive one. And at the time, they actually ended up promoting the way I actually was saying for a long time. The first release for Lionel Messi, actually the first rookie, Mundi Crom being a very respectable brand in Spain. So my narrative was correct. So I was a little bit ahead of time. Nowadays, of course, if I try to sell my Lionel Messi, I'm not sure if I would get the money I really want, but of course I will make a crazy big profit, because the narrative was on my side. I was correct on my narrative. And for example, the last one, and this probably a boring video for most of you guys, but a very important video. The last one is, I would say, the cheapest one on the market nowadays, and I tend to not understand how this is the cheapest on the market. Especially maybe I understand why it's the cheapest. I don't understand the gap for the other Panini, Mega Cracks, Barça Campeón cards. And let's go into the fundamentals again. So in terms of lineage, great lineage. In terms of history, great history. But let's forget that, because almost every Messi rookie have almost all the fundamentals, a lot of demand, etc., and potentially are, of course, on all of those three cards. But this one in particular sells for way less than the other two on the set. Look, I understand this being a little bit cheap, because in terms of, for example, gem rate is better for this card than there is for the other cards, but the pop for this card is actually quite higher than the other two Messi rookies on the set. But people are completely ignoring the fact that, guys, the rarity is the same for this one or for the other two. So, for example, I tend to believe right now in the market, this one can actually be an opportunity, because in the long run, I would not be surprised if the pop for the other two end up increasing. The reason people send this Messi a little bit more, in my perspective, is very easy to understand. This being a white, the boards being white, is a little bit difficult to find problems, or at least people think that's the case. So people tend to send this a little bit more, because they think this card is still in a decent condition to grade. But if the market keeps growing, I would suspect even the other bad ones, you have the blue one or the green one, will end up getting submitted, so the pop will automatic get a little bit closer, and this card can actually appreciate in value, in my perspective. So this type of narratives is something that you should be aware, is something that is going on in the market. The reason this card is more expensive than the other two is because of the narrative that is pushing out, okay? Because when you look at pops, all of the Messi rookies in general, they are quite difficult to find. The pops are not crazy for any of those rookies. So especially when you put in the macro perspective, a crazy demand that Lionel Messi can have, all of those cards, the pop are still very, very low. And when you look, for example, at the ST sticker, the pop is even lower than all of those three. And you can see actually this one and this one tends to, at least in 10s or even 9s, tend to sells a little bit more than the Esther. Maybe not the 9 for this, but the 9 for this sells more than the Esther sticker. And when you look at pop, which is actually some facts that you have, at least at the moment, you can say, no, the Esther sticker should be the most expensive one. But the reality is there is a narrative on the market that pushes for this one and for this one in high grades right now. So this is something that you need to be very aware. And you could fight against narrative, but understand some narratives end up making a lot of sense. For example, I believe the narratives for those two are very good narratives because there is a lot of amazing fundamentals. There is a lot of very strong narratives for those ones. So for me, don't surprise me. Those ones at the 10 end up selling for a premium. Apart from that, I did not mention, but the PSA 10 for this card is really difficult. Okay, so moving on. Let's finish the video with another example where I believe could be opportunity. Of course, no financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what I'm seeing in the market and giving you an example. I think is the best way to explain what is the power of a narrative. Okay. So I made, as I said, a very decent return. To be fair, I made zero because I did not sell anything, but potentially, I would say I will make a very good return on my Messi Mundi Croms because my narrative was correct. But let's go to a different example. Of course, I will talk about Jadon Sancho. I'm not comparing Jadon Sancho with Messi because that will be comparing a Fiat with a Ferrari. But that being said, in terms of potential, I think you guys agree that Sancho is one of the odd prospects in the market and is playing for a very good team. Actually, right now with Cristiano Ronaldo, so the potential on this man end up actually going to the next level is very huge, or at least people speculate on that quite heavily. Okay, so this is not debatable. You can say, oh, I believe more on Kai Havertz, I believe more on Mason Mount. Look, it is what it is. You could be correct or you could be wrong. We are speculating, but let's be real. People speculate a lot on Jadon Sancho. A little bit less nowadays, but in the future, this man was one of the odd prospects in the market. So let's take a look at a couple of cards. Look, you can apply this logic to all the cards that this man have, especially rookie ones. I end up choosing those three because I thought will be easier to explain with those three. So when you look at the rated rookie optic Panini Dan Ross's optic, which I tend to believe is maybe the main rookie for this man, maybe the top scrum, but one of the main rookies, I think is very fair to say. The pop total for this card is 1.1k. Which is quite a lot in soccer. Some people tend to disagree with me on that sense, but when you look at a lot of pre-modern ledgers, when you look at a lot of goats, the pops are way lower than this modern stuff. Makes a lot of sense, but I still believe our demand is a little bit over... people overrate a lot the demand in soccer in my perspective. I'm sorry, I believe soccer will be a major player in the hobby, but there is a lot of people speculating on soccer and tends to overrate some stuff in my perspective, and modern is a very good example. Okay, so that being said, pop total is 1.1k and PSA 10 is, I would say, a little bit over 200. Okay, so gem mint rate is actually 20%, which is again not a super low gem mint rate, but for a modern set, to be fair, is not even that amazing. A lot of modern sets have 50% gem mint rate or even more. Okay, so 20% is still very acceptable. A PSA 10 nowadays sells for I would say $200, a little bit more, a little bit less, it will depend. Let's say $200 for the video. Okay, and at the peak this card was selling for over $600, which is quite amazing to see, especially when you look at prices nowadays. You can see that the market ended up facing a big correction or even a crash, whatever you want to call it. The reason, and I was screaming this all the time, guys, don't invest on this type of modern stuff because the pops will of course increase quite a lot, and I would not be surprised if this pop goes for 2, 3, 4k. That's a reality that you should expect because that's a very likely scenario, even though the gem mint rate needs to be addressed again, because I tend to believe we could see a big difference. But that being said, let's work what we have right now. So this card 1.1k, but again, people was paying $600 because the pop was 20 cards graded. Sometimes later the pop was 200 and people were saying, oh, look at this, the pop is already increased. I was keep saying, guys, this will keep increasing quite a lot. And again, guys, if you think this is the top, I'm sorry, this will end up doing 3, 4, 5x, very likely. Again, maybe not next month, but in the long run, those cards are still super easy to find. When I say super easy, I mean it. Super easy to find on eBay. So I would, and there is still sealed products for this. Guys, the pop will increase quite a lot. That's why it's so dangerous to invest in this modern stuff, because the awareness, first of all, is very good, and that puts a lot of people grading those cards, even if you believe that makes not a lot of sense, but is the reality on the market, and markets are irrational. Okay, so a PSA at the peak was selling for a little bit over $600. And right now, let's say $200. Again, big correction, it is what it is. Let's move on. So when I look at this one, this is another rookie. This is the Tops Bundesliga rookie. This is the sticker. The pop total is 39 and the PSA 10 is only 5. And gem mint rate is, I would say, 12%, a little bit more. PSA 10 sold and there is only one, so it is what it is. This is the only data I have. PSA 10 sold for $500. So when you compare this sale with this one, well, I tend to believe there is way much more opportunity on this sticker than there is on this one. But let's not go there right now. Let's go to the next card. So this is actually, again, some people will disagree, but the true rookie for Sancho, and there is no debate, in my perspective. I understand that sometimes the main rookie is not exactly in, or not the main rookie. Let me explain this a little bit better. Sometimes the most relevant card is not the rookie, and that's fine, and I agree with that concept actually. I understand that sometimes there is cards way cooler than the rookie, but not the conversation for today. But when you talk about rookie, for me this is the main rookie, and there is no debate about this, especially because this is from Panini, and Panini is the most important thing, is the most important brand in soccer in my perspective by a country mile. You can disagree with this, you probably don't understand soccer very well, and that's fine. So take a look at the pop. Pop for this card is 36 and PSA 10 only 4. Gem mint rate is, I would say, around 11%. Well, the last sale for this one, and there is not a lot of sales, was a 8.5 sell for, sell for this, which is quite low. So let's talk about narratives for those cards. Well, I think a lot of people very soon will realize that, look, this card is not rare at all. This is still super easy to find. Even my dog can buy a card like this. I know when you compare those pops with the NBA, they are a little bit different. But guys, the demand for NBA is 10x more, or I'm putting around the number, but at least 10x more than there is for soccer at this time. It is what it is. You need to accept that. But let's say people will realize, look, this is not rare. Even my dog can get this card. Don Rosas, forget completely. Optic maybe still the best option. People probably will try to look at numbered stuff, colored stuff, even those are not rare at all, but that will be a different video. I actually made a video about this. So, but people will realize that in my perspective, okay? Apart from that, there is a lot of great arguments you can make for this not even being a true rookie in my perspective. The reason is, well, actually, there is a release early than this card. Apart from that, for me, the rookie should be on the team, in this case, Borussia Dortmund, and not with the national team. And again, you can disagree with me. I tend to believe that's the case. Apart from that, guys, there is the fundamentals for this card are quite bad, to be fair. Apart from that, looking at this card, the thing is, was this release in a global release, or actually release on the country that the man was playing, in this case Germany, for Bundesliga? No, this was a global release, so you can expect again the pop increasing quite a lot. When I look at the sticker, look, the fundamentals on the sticker are quite amazing. You can say, well, the sticker is not that cheap when you compare with this one, so calm down, I will go a little bit later for the double CCV card. But when you look at this one, you can see, look, this is actually an amazing sticker to own, because there is a lot of, guys, lineage on this sticker is great, history on this sticker is great, relevance for the sticker, I tend to believe on a market like this could be great for a player like that. And again, when you look at the pop, you tell me, oh, but do you think that pop can make a 10x? Of course, there is not even a doubt about that. Can make a 20x? Maybe. But the thing is, and we need to work with some type of odds. When we look at the Tops stickers, especially around this time, well, they are not that easy to find on eBay. But it's not the same case for Optic cards or even Tops Crom card, to be fair with you. Because again, the release was in just one country, and apart from that, you guys know people tend to put stickers at the album. So automatic there will be some type of rarity for this sticker in my perspective, okay? So that being said, this sticker checks all the fundamentals. I tend to believe this should be the main rookie for Sancho, or at least the most desirable rookie for Sancho. If you want to consider this a rookie, that will be a different conversation, as I said. So comparing these prices to, I would be more comfortable paying $500 than paying $200 for this one, and at the peak completely forget. That's not even a discussion anymore in my perspective. And apart from this sale, again, I would not be surprised if you can get this at this point in the market at $300, almost the same as this one. And when you put in comparison, the value for those are very different. The reason is you are investing in the narratives, even if you are not understanding that. The thing is, guys, what I said, guys, way more, better history, better leanness, the narrative that people can actually realize very soon, in my perspective, will be way stronger on this, okay? And people will, in my perspective, will realize a bad narrative for this one, because to pump one, you automatically will dump one, if you know what I mean. But you can say, well, but is that actually the best investment? No, I actually believe there is even a better investment. Don't confuse one thing. If you are a collector for Sancho, and if you really want the most important rookie card, I still believe is this one. And that's a different conversation. But as a value investor, and I'm not a collector of Sancho, I'm just a value investor. I want to value invest in Sancho at this point, or at least let's say I want, because Sancho is not even one of my biggest odd prospects that I'm speculating, but let's say it is, and I own a couple of cards, by the way. In that case, I tend to believe this is the best investment, because the thing is, guys, let's say, and by the way, you need to believe on the potential of this man, and you need to hope this man performs well, but this is a given no matter the card you choose, okay? So let's say next season or this season, Sancho plays out of his mind, is one of the best players in the world. Of course, automatic, across the board, all the cards will see an increase in price. But the market will get more aware of Sancho, and people will look, okay, let me take a look at rookie Sanchos. And guys, it's a question of time until someone sends a PSA 10 of this to Golden Auction or Heritage Auction, whatever auction you want to put it, and they construct a narrative on this card being the true rookie for this card. I have no doubt about that. I have doubts about Sancho being a great investment, but if Sancho is a great investment, I have no doubts this card is a great investment. I believe I explained this very well at this point. So that being said, guys, narrative is amazing, because you can say, look, this is from Topps and this is from Panini. And in soccer, I know, in baseball, for example, it's very different, but in soccer, Panini is the biggest brand. So you can make actually a very good argument for that. Apart from that, you can say, look, guys, this is 1 year early, and this is the main factor to be fair. Apart from that, there is other arguments you can make. For example, this was only released in Japan, and you guys know getting things from Japan to Europe or America is not even that easy. Finding these cards raw is a little bit more easy than the sticker, but in the long run, I'm not sure if that will be the case, okay? So there is a lot of great fundamentals on a card like this. There is a lot of great fundamentals on a card like this. Now let's go to the bad side. Let's go to a narrative that can actually go against you. Well, people can say, yeah, but I don't like double CCFA cards. I don't like stickers. I prefer a more American desirable brand, okay? And that's an argument that actually can be made, and you need to be aware of that. But I don't believe in that, okay? So I will be very comfortable investing on those two. The reason I don't invest in that, first of all, WCCF, eye appealing, etc. All of those stuff is important. But let me say one thing. Markets like things that are selling, okay? Market likes things that other people like, okay? If a lot of people start talking about this card as being the main rookie for Sancho, keep one thing in mind. Even if you disagree nowadays, there is a good chance that we will end up going into that pot. It is what it is. Market shows this type of stuff every time. There is a lot of cards that I think they are quite ugly. There is a lot of brands that I don't even respect that much, but they still sell for a premium. And look, if I'm a value investor, I can go into that boat just because potential could be, again, a great investment. So that being said, this is something that I believe is still undervalued. Again, no financial advice. I'm just giving you a better example. So if I had to invest in any of those cards, at this point, I tend to believe the strong narrative that can be made will be for this one. I would say this is more a mid-term safe investment. This is a little bit more risky, of course, but this probably being the main rookie in the future, I I would invest in these two, okay? But again, if I want to speculate in what can give me a better return, probably will be this one, and the worst, without a doubt, will be this. Again, there is a scenario where the market completely keeps exploding and everything gives you a good return, and that could be actually the most likely case. But again, maybe this gives you a 2x and this can actually gives you a 10x, or maybe this a 5-6x, okay? So moving on to finish the video. I need to stop saying this video will be short because I really thought it will be 5 minutes. It's 24 minutes, I'm sorry. So other random examples. So this is to finish, to share with you, there is a lot of narratives you can make. There is a lot of narratives that you could hope that eventually end up happening. Some of them will, of course, be true. Another, the market will never see. So basically what you want is the market to see what you are seeing right now. So let's start with the Zinedine Zidane one. Well, I guess you guys would agree with me, the Zinedine Zidane rookie the market is very aware of that card and is a very expensive one, but a very difficult one to find. But for example, I'm not sure if the market is super aware of this card. This card is from 95 and is actually the first Zidane with France. And for me, that automatic could make an amazing narrative for a card like this. First of all, it's a beautiful card. Apart from that, it's a card and not a sticker, and a lot of people care about that type of stuff, and Zidane ended up winning 1 Euro and 1 World Cup with France. So in terms of being a legend, I believe Zidane was more a legend at the national level than at the club level. He was very good at both, but at the national level, you can make a solid argument this man was one of the best ever. And again, that's not even a discussion at this point. So you can make actually an amazing narrative. Look, guys, I understand that the rookie is very important, I'm not even disagreeing with that, but the first card for France, knowing this man end up winning 1 World Cup, 1 Euro Cup, and going to another final actually at World Cup, this card automatic should have a premium. Apart from that, difficult card to find. Apart from that, very condition rarity on a card like this. And apart from that, we are investing in a card with great lineage from Panini. We are investing in a player with great history. So all of the fundamentals will be there, and you can make a very strong narrative into the market, and people will make a strong narrative into the market if I'm correct, okay? So another example. This is a little bit different. For example, Bobby Moore. Well, Bobby Moore, again, another legend of the sport, and when you look at the rookies, they are quite difficult to find and they can actually be quite expensive. But also people say, I'm a little bit out of this market, I cannot afford the rookie. Why not? Again, this is no financial advice, I'm just making a narrative for you right now. Why not investing in the first Panini sticker? Because you can say, oh, but the rookie is the rookie. Yes, but Panini is probably a way stronger brand than anything that you are investing at this point for early stuff for Bobby Moore. And guys, I know people that they only collect Panini. So automatic for them, this will be, I would say, the rookie for Bobby Moore. Even if you disagree, even if I disagree, there will be a narrative on the market for a stuff like this. Actually, I believe first releases from Panini are still quite undervalued, even if they are not rookies, but that will be a different conversation again. So you can make a very solid narrative for this being one of the most important stickers for Bobby Moore, because it's the first Panini sticker, and of course will be condition rarity and even some type of true rarity with some backs. Okay, different conversation for other day. To finish this, I know a lot of you guys don't like this market, but for example, this is one of the most important characters on Yu-Gi-Oh! And the first release for this card was on 99, and this is a promo that was given at the tournament, okay? And of course, this being a promo given at the tournament, this card is quite difficult to find, and again, you can put this almost in a category of a trophy card. I would not say a trophy card in Pokemon. Most of the time they have, not most of the time, I'm sorry, but a lot of times they are way more rare than this one, but a lot of people will still consider this some type of prize card, and in the end this is a prize card. But what's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh? If in Pokemon you already can see this trend, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is way less relevant at this point. So I can see a narrative that people that can actually come from a background of Pokemon, Magic, the Gathering, etc., and making that narrative. Look, this is actually, by the way, this is one of the first promos ever on Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not even sure if it's not the first promo ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't matter for the idea I'm trying to push on you, but the thing is, you can see how a narrative for a card like this can be made in the sense, look, this is actually the first appearance for Magician Black House. Apart from that, You know what I mean? This is actually one of the first promos ever on Yu-Gi-Oh! Apart from that, this card actually has some type of true rarity. Apart from that, conditional rarity is so strong on a card like this, and the market will realize sooner or later that. Of course, as I said, some narratives will be better than the others, but investing in narratives is something that I like a lot, okay? The first example I thought was one of the best. Look, I saw an amazing narrative potentially on a card like this, I end up investing and I end up being very successful. Another example, I'm investing, again, when I say not in the same level as Messi, by the way, but I own a couple of those cards, and in my perspective, they are actually difficult to find, or if the market gets more awareness, I believe they will be almost impossible to find. I could be wrong again. Understanding the supply on Japan is not easy, but I actually have an amazing background on that sense because I've been buying Yu-Gi-Oh! For so many years, and even Pokemon and Magic the Gathering on sites like Mercari, Baie, etc. So I have a good sense, and most of the time things tend to get quite difficult on Japan, okay? So again, this is a narrative that is not there at this point, but I believe could be there at one point in time. Same for those one. Again, you can say, but do you really think that all of those four narratives will play out? Look, maybe not, but even if two of those play out, if my entry point is very good, I can actually make, I would say, an amazing profit. And on the other two, as long I understand the entry point is not crazy, even if this goes down 20% or a little bit more or less, I would be fine if the others end up playing out. So investing in narratives is something that people don't understand, is something that people for some reason ignore. They tend to follow what the market says, but what you should be done is investing on things that the market are not seeing, and I think this is a great message to end the conversation. Apart from that, let me say just one thing. There is extra audio on Patreon. You don't need to support me on Patreon. In the end, you should always expect free content on YouTube. That being said, there is extra audio where I talk about the state of the market, where I share my ideas on this market currently. And again, if you like my content on YouTube, most likely you will end up liking my content on Patreon. There is a link on the description. To finish this, conclusion, guys, collect things you love, price is what you pay, and value is what you get. And when you start understanding value, fundamentals to assess value, and narratives to potentially speculate in a card, I think you will perform very well on this type of speculative markets, card world markets, etc. Guys, have a nice day. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.